Leah Diehl from University of Florida. Lee, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, perfect. Take it away.
Great. Thank you. Well, I really appreciate being here. This has been so wonderful listening to all of this information and all these great initiatives that you're all doing. It's just amazing. I am at the University of Florida. I'm a faculty member in the Environmental Horticulture Department, and I also am the Director of Therapeutic Horticulture at University of Florida. And I'm going to be talking to you a little bit today about a research project that we have done. We've just recently published the first phase, but it's continuing on. This again is at the University of Florida. It's a therapeutic horticulture program, and this particular program is specifically for University of Florida students. So just to give you a little bit of background, right now our program sits within Wilmot Botanical Gardens, which is a 5-acre garden on the campus. It's actually on the south end of the campus, which is really our medical campus. So we're surrounded by hospitals, medical buildings, research buildings, all sorts of things like that, which separate us a little bit from the students, but also allow us to make a lot of really great relationships with some of the health departments around. So you're seeing our greenhouse there in the upper left, and then a couple of interior shots. I just wanted to point out that we do work with a lot of different populations in our program at UF. This is a list of them. These are all different therapeutic horticulture programs. Some of them are ongoing, some of them are from the past, but everything from different veteran populations to young adults with developmental disabilities, emerging adults in addiction recovery. We actually go out once a week to our psychiatric hospital and bring programming out to them. But the group I'm going to tell you about today are our university students. So we had been serving a lot of different populations, and we were having some great success with those different groups. But here we were in the middle of a big campus. University of Florida is a really big school, and although we had a lot of students involved in our program as volunteers, trained volunteers, and also in our certificate in horticultural therapy program, we weren't actually serving them in a straightforward way. And I had been reading more and more about all the issues that students are struggling. And I thought, we really need to be doing something for our own students. So we put together a program. I got a little bit of funding to start up a pilot program with basically the question, would a structured therapeutic horticulture program help students that were struggling with mental health issues? And we were really thinking about things like stress, anxiety, depression, and loneliness. Those were kind of our 4 main issues. As you all know, I don't need to say much about this, but student mental health has really been an epidemic for many years before COVID, but COVID certainly exacerbated that situation. We were looking, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with these as well, the American College Health Association and some different resources to really kind of find out what was being reported about students across the country. So we did, as we were putting this together, we didn't have a lot of funding. We were hoping that we wanted to maybe have this program lead to some funding. And so it seemed pretty clear, the fact that we were on a college campus, that we really needed to figure out how our program might help academic performance as well. So not only did we want to look at some of those mental health aspects, but also would participating in our program have any effect on academic distress? So we worked that in as well because we thought that if we could show that maybe the university would be more willing to kick in some additional funding. So these are our 4 program goals for this student therapeutic horticulture program. The first one is that we're really wanting to build skills and confidence within the students in terms of working with plants so that they could continue to work with plants outside of our program. The second was that we wanted to introduce and then practice some type of wellness strategy every time they came. And let me back up and tell you that this is a semester-long program. Students come for an hour and a half once a week. This semester, we have 4 different groups, so you could join any one of those groups. And then you come, it ends up being anywhere from 12 to 15 weeks, depending on when the student joins the program. So every week we have a psychologist that comes from the Counseling and Wellness Center on campus to teach us some kind of a wellness strategy. It could be mindfulness, it could be meditation, it could be cognitive diffusion, tip skills, lots of different kinds of things that if we're able to, we'll practice it and then we'll kind of share our experiences about that. Our third goal was we really are hoping we can help the students to understand the role that plants and nature can play in their personal wellness, not just as a student, but lifelong. And then finally, building community among participants. You know, we're finding that maybe some of our students are freshmen and they're having trouble kind of finding their people at school, or they're international students, or they're students that really were affected heavily by COVID and are having a hard time kind of reintegrating socially. So that's a really important component as well. As I mentioned, we did decide to partner with the Counseling and Wellness Center at UF. You know, we knew that that was going to really enhance our benefits that we were able to provide to the students, having a psychologist come and help us with these wellness strategies. So that's been a really important piece. And kudos goes to the Wellness Center for supporting this effort and recognizing the value of this so that they actually do support having their psychologist, one of their psychologists coming 4 times a week to our program, you know, about an hour to an hour and a half each time. So our intervention that we do really has 3 parts. So the first part is where the students are practicing their horticulture skills. They each get half of a little mini greenhouse system, and they take cuttings, they plant seeds. As the cuttings grow, they transplant those. They learn about how to take care of different kinds of plants, from, you know, a tropical houseplant to a succulent, all sorts of different things. So this is where we're really trying to build their confidence in growing and caring for plants. The second phase is where we do that wellness strategy, and it may take place in our lab area in the greenhouse. Sometimes we go outside into the beautiful garden and do it there, but that's that opportunity to learn a new wellness strategy, to practice it, and hopefully kind of incorporate it into your life. We all know that not every wellness strategy works for everybody. So our philosophy is if we can introduce them to 12 or 15 different wellness strategies over the course of the semester, hopefully at least a few of those will resonate with each student and they'll be able to incorporate them into their lives. And then the last and longest part of the session is where they participate in a therapeutic horticulture activity. And this is always horticulture based. We're working with live plants. There are a few where we're working with pressed leaves and flowers that they've done, but this is an opportunity to also reinforce those horticulture skills, but also incorporate creativity, personal expression, some different aspects like that. And during this part, we're trying to make some connections between the wellness strategy they learned and this activity. So we try to pair those together. So we just published the outcomes of our first 3 semesters. So we had 50, I believe it was 58 students in that had finished the data collection. That meant that they came to 8 weeks. And we were so excited. Actually, I'll be honest with you, the first time we ran this, I thought we did something wrong because we had positive outcomes in everything that we measured. So one of our main tools was the academic resilience scale. And we found statistically significant increases in academic resilience. This scale also has 3 subscales: perseverance, help-seeking behavior, and the ability to manage negative affect. And all of these were also, we saw positive outcomes for those. Most of them were large. The help-seeking behavior was a medium effect size. We found significant decreases in stress, and also both state and trait anxiety. And we also ran the general resilience scale. We used the brief resilience scale, a small effect size there, but still significant. So that was really exciting. Based on this preliminary data, we were able to get a grant from University of Florida for a 3-year, almost $500,000 expansion of this program. And we were able to go from offering 1 group per semester to offering 4 to 5. With that money came a graduate student to help us with research. It came a full-time position in order to help me manage the program. And so we've been able to really expand it. Excuse me. I just wanted to share a few kind of testimonials from some of our students. I highlighted the things or bolded those things. One freshman student said that it really helped them adjust to college and learn many skills that they would carry throughout their life. And they could do this without feeling pressure like they felt with many other aspects of a student's life. Another student talked about how there was a sense of community and safe space. Another student talked about how they watched their sleeping habits improve, their anxiety lessen, and their activity overall had increased by being part of this program. A PhD student on the upper right talked about how they couldn't say how much this program had helped, prevented them from having mental breakdowns while working on their dissertation. And then finally, at the bottom there, a student talked about feeling calm and refreshed after participating every week. And so these testimonials were part of an exit survey that we did that's also part of our IRB. And it really helps us to understand the aspects of the program that are beneficial or maybe not so beneficial to the students. And it's been able to help us refine the program a little bit. So next steps, our phase 2 is complete. That's another 3 semesters. We're analyzing that data now. We actually incorporated the general belongingness scale and the USCLA loneliness scale in this one as well. So we're excited. Preliminary data tells us we have positive outcomes in those as well, but I don't know for sure. And then we are now in our 7th semester. So we're in the beginning of phase 3. And for the first time, we've really been able to incorporate a comparison group. You know, that's been one of our struggles of this research, is not really having a control group. And first and foremost, our obligation is to serving the student and providing this service to them if they need it. So we haven't felt like we could ethically say, well, you can't participate, so you're in the control group. We couldn't do that randomized control trial. However, we've gotten to the point where our program is well enough known that more students are reaching out to us, and it doesn't fit everybody's schedule. So they're become kind of that wait list comparison group, and we're growing those numbers. So I'm hoping that between this semester and next semester, we'll have a decent sized comparison group that we can kind of see, are there any differences there? My dream for this program is that we know it works at University of Florida. We're working on putting together a package, a sort of facilitator's guide, and I want to take it to the other universities, see if we can replicate this study and have similar findings at big schools, small schools, southern schools, northern schools, all over. I feel like we can do that, but of course I need to find some funding to make that happen. So that was it for me. I didn't mention we do have a certificate in horticultural therapy at UF. There's some information there, a little bit more about our program at the gardens, and then I can be reached through that final QR code. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lee. I really appreciate like the programming, and also like I was a PhD student, so I'm very aware of the mental breakdowns and everything. So this is definitely very helpful. And also I really appreciate you bringing up like international students and student communities who are generally overlooked by like programming and things. So thank you so much for sharing. This is very helpful.